фильм по мотивам одноименной повести Николая Гоголя «Вий». Сценарий и постановка под руководством известного режиссера Александра Птушко. В фильме «Вий» Наталья Варлей и Леонид Куравлев.
Ведьма! Ей-богу, ведьма!
Приведите Вия!
«Вий».
Hey, welcome to Drive-In Double Feature Podcast, where we do 2 movies a week every week. And this is the first episode of the week. I'm Nathan.
I'm Ryan.
And we're talking about V from 1967, directed by, and this is a Russian movie, so excuse me if I get this completely wrong, Konstantin Urshov and Georgy Kropachov. That is me trying my best. Yeah, it's a weird like folk tale witchcraft movie, extremely short. Yeah, I think I said like last week it's on the 1001 movies to watch before you die, but it's a weirdo movie. So I was wondering why would it be picked? So that's why we are here.
I guess the good question would be, do you have any favorite witch movies?
Witch movies? I don't know any. The witch.
Hocus Pocus.
Witches.
Oh
yeah. Witches. Yes.
The Witches of Eastwick.
Witches. I've actually never seen Witches of Eastwick.
Oh man.
I have actually never seen Hocus Pocus either. I own Hocus Pocus. I've never sat down and watched it.
Oh, that is shameful.
Is it shameful? Is that worth watching? I don't know if it's like a movie that like everybody like hypes up, and I don't know.
I remember watching it a lot when I was a younger kid, and I would rent it like every Halloween. But
that's cool.
But I'm sure it hasn't held up. But I haven't watched it in a while. But they are coming out with Hocus Pocus 2. They're already making it right now, Nathan.
Yes, I love Sarah Jessica Parker. I want more of her, please.
Yes, Bette Midler. It's been too long.
Yeah, it really has. I do like Blair Witch Project. That's a witch movie that I actually do like. It's a bit outdated, but I still think it's a cool movie.
It's got its place in history. But yeah. Nathan, since we're in Soviet Russia, I'm seeing red when I watch this movie.
You're seeing red.
Because I am all about that communism. No,
oh yeah, I mean this is fresh in that US. This was the first horror movie released under the USSR, which is a really cool thing.
So, what made you choose this movie, Nathan?
Oh, like I said, it was just like a weird movie. I saw the cover. The poster is like this girl, and if you look at her thumbnail, it's just this girl with her mouth wide open. It's just kind of scary looking, and it seems to actually have a lot of people talking about this movie. I've also been on a Russian movie kick. I've been watching Tarkovsky movies and stuff, which is made under Moscow Films as well. And I was like, okay, why not? Let's jump into it. What were your expectations going in?
I mean, I was expecting like kind of like a weird, freaky type of movie just based off of the poster. And there is some of that, but I guess I'll go right into it. It takes a long time to get to that point.
It's crazy. I thought I had picked an hour, 13-minute movie, so we would be like fine, right? You know, it would get to the point and be done. It is a slow journey. It is a long build-up, which I guess is just very like a Russian thing to do in movies. It takes a long time to build up some of their stuff in a lot of their movies. And yeah, I mean, it honestly, it gets off of the bat, right? It's about 3 monks and they're going on a journey, and it does have something happen in the beginning where they sleep at a witch's place and a witch rides the man like a broom. And I think what I really like about this movie is just the look of it. The special effects are so cool for the time.
That's the thing I was most impressed about. I had zero expectation. I thought the special effects were honestly going to suck, but they actually look pretty good, and some of them actually hold up pretty well, I will say.
Right? Yeah, I totally agree. There was like a cool effect whenever this old witch is riding one of the monks, where the background is just spinning in a circle, is what it looks like. But I think it looks really cool. It makes the flying effect look really fast and everything. Something else, the colors really pop too. I really think the colors are really nice. I know this is going to be a weird aside, but it reminded me of like that era of Disney movies. Because you know how Disney movies, they used to do like weird horror stuff, like Something Wicked This Way Comes, stuff like that. It kind of has that like creepy, but still like child-friendly vibe for the beginning of it.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's got these really vibrant colors, and even during the scary parts, a lot of like the spooky looking type of colors are really kind of pop. They're really they really have a bright hue to them, even though it's supposed to be really dark and gloomy.
Yeah, exactly. It's got a lot of like dark blues is what I would say. But then after that, not a lot happens, right? It is a long journey from there.
It is the slowest of burns. Like you said, that witch sequence takes place within like the first 10 minutes of the movie, and then about another like 30 to 40 minutes, there's like just build up. Because one of the monks, he kills the witch, who was, I guess, like secretly like a younger woman, and then he's called upon to read her last rites, but she dies, and he's tasked with staying by her dead body as a vigil for 3 days.
Which you'd think something crazy would happen every night, and something kind of does, but it doesn't take till the third night for anything really bonkers to happen. Which,
Nathan, I think the real reason why you picked this movie is because you're a big Five Nights at Freddy's fan, because this was 3 nights at Witchies.
Oh, yes, you're right. You caught me. This is the Five Nights at Freddy's. This is what inspired it, right?
I'm so sorry for saying that. Anyway.
No, that was good. I liked it. But yeah, it's hard to even pull anything really out of these scenes. I mean, it's about him kind of getting drunk, dealing with this, because he does beat the crap out of this witch, right? I think that's like funny, is like whenever he gives him the piggyback ride, he like beats the crap out of her, and then come to find out it's a young, beautiful witch, which that's who he has to watch over. So he has like that connection there.
So the whole part, I guess like the tense moments building up towards like the supernatural bits, is he really doesn't want to be found out for murdering this young woman, because they said like the young woman, like as she was dying, she was asking for this particular monk by name, and people are like, well, how do you know how this woman exists? Like, were you friends with her? Or did your parents know her? So the whole time he's just kind of like really freaked out that he doesn't want to be outed as this murderer. But so I guess he pays the ultimate price by having to deal with this witch woman each night.
Yeah, and it's so bad it turns his hair white. And he also, you know what was wild about that scene? This night where his hair gets turned white by the witch, right? He gets cursed. He steps outside of the barn or wherever her coffin is at, and he starts dancing. Do you know what was up there? He's like, I want to dance, and he just starts dancing in front of everybody. I didn't get it either, and because the only thing I could think of is just he was just losing his mind. That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I really appreciate the spooky parts of this movie, but I really wish that was like the focal point. I guess what I would have really have liked if this movie was like those 3 nights, like kind of spread out like over that hour and a half, and like spooky stuff was happening.
Exactly.
But you know, like those even like the scary scenes, like the night sequences in these movies, they only last like 5 minutes, like if that.
That's what I was hoping for. I was really hoping for this build up to really build up to something, and I really appreciated what I was looking at. You know, it looks really cool, but it really sucks when it's only like a night is barely anything, and the next day leading up to the night is longer than the nights, because that's the thing, is you want to see an effect spectacle. That's what it's a spectacle, but there's not enough spectacle.
Which it's so weird because how fast it goes by, because it's portrayed like they shut the door and then like that whole sequence takes place in real time. So like he's trying, like the witch like starts coming after him. So he builds like a protection circle, and the witch is trying to like get into that circle. And there's not like a sequence that makes you say like, okay, 6 hours later, 8 hours later. It just kind of like happens for 5 minutes, and then like a rooster crows, and it's just like, oh, I guess it's morning.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I guess he dealt with it. All right. And like the first night he not even a lot happens. The witch comes to life, and he just draws that protective circle of chalk around him, and then she can't break through. She's like a mime with a invisible wall just pounding things. So not a lot happens there. The second night is probably one of my favorite effects, is the coffin starts to float, and she's like riding it like a surfboard, like as it like knocks into his protective little snow globe.
That was pretty cool. I was not expecting that, because it was kind of like it was like the coffin was floating and trying to ram into that circle. And they kind of do that same effect too, where the background is like a matte painting, and it's kind of spinning in like a circular motion, so it kind of looks like she's flying around the room.
Yeah. And I'm wondering how much money this movie did make, because maybe they couldn't make it so big because it was an expensive movie for the time. I could see it, because in the last night they have all those creatures, right? The dark blue like demons that come out and attack him, and they are all like maked up. They have like prosthetics on, and there's a lot going on in those scenes.
I did like that. I mean, those were effects I liked. I mean, there's really cool scenes where it was looked like these giant hands were coming out from underneath the floor.
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, and it was like circling around him, and it had like the green screen hands coming out over him. No, I mean, that's the thing, is if there was more of it, I would have really liked this movie a lot more. There just wasn't enough to be like, oh, you gotta, you know, I'm not gonna be out here recommending this, because there just isn't enough for you to really enjoy, I don't think.
No, I mean, I was wanting a lot more out of it, and those spooky scenes, I mean, while they are pretty cool, and that's why I would have liked if we kind of built it up, like if they had like kind of like that first night where he's kind of wondering what's going on, and then the little spooky stuff starts happening, and then each night it kind of ramps up like that. I think it would have been a lot better experience. Instead, it's just kind of like, oh, we'll just kind of dump these 3 scenes on you like pretty rapidly, and the movie's over.
Yeah, it's almost like they were more interested in the story of this monk dealing with guilt, and outside of seeing the dead body, where the real interest is him being stuck in the same room as the dead body. It wasn't enough of a build up. I don't know how I would have, I guess how you said it is how I would have made it a better movie, to put more focus on those final 3 nights.
Which, I mean, I guess this movie is based off of a really famous Russian folk tale. So I mean, I guess that's how it went, and they wanted to be a really honest adaptation, a real faithful one.
Yeah, and I mean, it definitely feels like a folk tale. They did a good job of giving that folk tale feel. It even has like a narrator at the beginning, like telling you like this is the story of V, you know, and it has a narrator at the very end, you know, bookending the movie. So it at least captures the idea of a folk tale. Would I maybe have liked this better if I was Russian and I knew what this original story was? Maybe, you know, like, oh, this is a really faithful adaptation of that.
I guess it's more kind of, it's supposed to be remembered, or in some of the 1,001 movies need to see, just because of how, I guess, a landmark it is maybe for Russian cinema at the time.
Yeah, I could see that's the only reason I could think of. Because it's definitely like, it's still a weird movie, right? It fits our criteria, but yeah, that's it. It's 1001. I feel like when you pick that many movies, sometimes some leak in that are just important and not very good. And it's like, oh, it's a horror Russian movie. They don't do that a lot. This is the first horror Russian movie. All right, here we go. Let's throw it on the list, you know. But people really like this movie. I think some people don't mind the slow burn.
Do they? I mean, I guess there is a lot of fans, but I haven't really looked to see what other people have been saying about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like the most popular movie in the world, but like people I have like friends with, they like have rated it, have given it on the higher end of ratings.
So I guess one thing I do want to ask you about is like, again, this is a problem we've seen in other movies. Mm-hmm. The ending in this movie is really weird. So how the movie ends is it's during the final night, and the demons kind of swarm him. Mm-hmm. They don't. That's right. And then they dissipate, and then he's just kind of lying on the ground. And then the very next scene, it's like two of his monk friends are just having a conversation. They're like, "Is he dead? I don't know. They say he's dead, but we didn't see him dead." And then he's like, "That could be him over there, but it's not." And then the movie, and they're like, and then one of the monks is like, "Hey, are you working right now?" Like, "Yeah, we're working." Okay, we'll keep working. And then the movie ends.
Yeah, no, it's coming back to me. I remember also being like, "What? Why? Was it supposed to be the two monks that because it was a group of three at the beginning of the movie? Is it those two monks?
Yeah, it's the same two other monks that were with him. So
yeah.
So I don't really but I didn't even understand, like, even if that was them, why were they talking about that? Like, are they implying that he really didn't die?
Yeah.
Because they even said, they're like, oh, well, if he had just, formed a cross with his hands, he would have been fine or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, were they there just to dispel people in the crowd being like, you're wrong? I don't know. Because it could have just ended the way it was, because, like, he gets all the demons surround him, and you're pretty much assume, oh, he's dead, or he went to hell, or something like that. But then it has like a comedy bit, and I don't, cause like you said, because like the dude's like, "Hey, get back to work, monks." Which I didn't know monks were considered like rapscallions, because they're over here like, right? They're like, even people in the villages are like, "Oh, well, it's not like the monastery where things are crazy over there."
Well, yeah, because they act like, these guys don't look old. They look pretty old. They don't look young. And then, because how the movie starts is the monk is like, okay, or like the main monk's like, you got the weekend off or whatever. And they're like, oh yeah, let's hit the town. And but yeah, you're right. They're treated like they're just like these dumb kids, and they're just go out like causing mischief at first, but they're middle-aged men.
Yes. Yeah. They're middle-aged men. Yeah. They do not look like kids. Especially our main guy. It's so weird though. I would comment on the acting, but I just don't know. Like, it wasn't like bad or anything. I think the girl who plays the witch does a good job of having like some presence, right? She's creepy looking, especially in the makeup they give her.
Yeah, and they even get an older guy who was a circus performer to play the older version of the witch.
Yeah, which is really cool. I wish I could find more info and facts on this movie. There isn't a lot out there, honestly.
The thing that bothered me the most, the thing that was really annoying throughout this whole movie to me, was the audio. Mm-hmm. Like, the audio was so clean, like it just didn't even sound like it was even recorded, like in this, like it just sounded like really bad dubbing. Like the audio was so cleaned up, like there was no background noise that you could hear.
Mm-hmm.
And there was like one scene where like a guy is hammering, where it's just going tunk, 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 tunk. And then like as soon as the guy moves his head, so the hammering guy comes out of frame, the hammering just stops. Like, but you should still be able to hear it. So it's just little weird things like that. And I kept wondering, I'm like, did they just like re-record this movie or what? Because the audio just sounds like obscenely clean.
That's what I felt the same way. I guess I didn't like pick it apart too hard, but I did notice like the audio was very odd. If it was dubbed, it was at least dubbed very well. Well, how do I know? Because that's the thing whenever you're reading subtitles is you're not really going to pay attention to the lips all too much. It could be like, you know, what they were doing in Italy where they just recorded audio and dubbed over it.
Yeah, I don't know, but it felt like one of those European movies that we've seen before where they just decide like, oh, well, it's easier to just dub over these lines than to actually hire a sound guy on set.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm sure that's what happened. Yeah, I mean, that's V. I don't know. Do you have any more points to add to V?
No, I mean, again, really impressive visuals for at the time. Like I was totally not expecting that. Mm-hmm. If you really want to see it, I would say just go on YouTube and watch the scary sequences because I can just tell you it's the lead up to it is not worth the hour and 10-minute wait for it. But
yeah, that's my issue with it. Is like I appreciate it more than I like it, right? That I don't know if that means it's a good thing because I wouldn't recommend it as well. It's more of just like, oh, well, it's cool what it did for its time and all that, but did I really have like a great time watching? No. It needed more of those effect scenes to really like push it to the next level.
Yeah, and it's a 70-minute movie that feels like it's 2 hours long most. So,
which is I don't want that.
But I'm sure it deserves its place in Russian cinema history. I can't say for sure because I haven't seen enough Russian movies. But anyway, that's my final thoughts.
Same. I just mirror exactly what you said. And those were my final thoughts. Yeah, so cool. Well, that was V. What do we get to talk about next? Or what do we get to talk about later this week?
Well, Nathan, I'm going to tell you this. At midnight, I'll take your soul. Should
I be scared? What if I don't have a soul?
Well, you better pick up a soul because I'm going to take it, even if you get one. But no, this is going to be talking about it's from the Coffin Joe series called At Midnight, I'll Take Your Soul. It's a Brazilian horror trilogy that's out there. We'll be talking about it. It is available on YouTube, the whole movie, about 80 minutes long. So go out, watch it if you want to join us on this podcast. But if you want to join us in discussing other things about this podcast, please send us an email at driveindoublefeaturepodcast@gmail.com. Give us any suggestions for any movies or just what your general thoughts of the podcast. But other than that, we'll see you next time.
See you next time.